Welcome to the Pineapple Perspective with your host, yours truly, Troy Hooper, CEO of Pepper Lunch, Japanese fast casual DIY teppanyaki concept, growing rapidly in America and even in Laura Wilber's neighborhood down in the San Diego region. We got 10 coming down to you here, Laura. You're not going to be able to walk 5 feet without running into a Pepper Lunch here in the next couple of years. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you. So happy to be here. I love Pepper Lunch. As you know, I first discovered your brand in Las Vegas when you rolled out the red carpet for a bunch of us attending the Restaurant Finance and Development Show. We took a luxury limo bus with music and really rolled out the red carpet, got a tour of the kitchen, got to see how efficient the whole model is from a business standpoint, and then really loved, just trying all of the flavors and having such a unique dining experience. It has stuck with me ever since then. That was 2 years ago probably, and I just love to see the growth, and your entire team is you just have this energy, it's infectious, it's fun. At the Restaurant Leadership Conference, we had a blast playing pickleball. I got to be partnered up with Paul Tran, who's just a great human like you, so very exciting
Well, that was very
time.
kind, Laura. The check's in the mail. That was a great infomercial for Pepper Lunch. We appreciate that. No, I love it. And Laura's everywhere. Ran into her randomly at the Irvine Spectrum Mall the other day, just sitting there having a discovery day with our next new franchise partner. And Laura just rolls in with her friends, like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Just out of the blue in Irvine, up from San Diego. So it was awesome to see you. Thanks for popping in and saying hi.
Of course, that's what hospitality is all about, saying hi to our friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura, we start every show before we get too deep into anything. We want to know from our guest, each and every hospitality or hospitality adjacent leader in this industry, what does hospitality mean to you?
Just connection and building true friendships. And one of my friends that lives in Phoenix, where Pepper Lunch is opening tomorrow in Tempe near ASU. One of my friends, her name is Kim Westoff. She runs leisure sales for the Global Ambassador Hotel. I moved from Phoenix to San Diego 5 years ago. Every time I come to Phoenix, Kim is waiting for me with an AJ's iced tea. I always have a little gift. I love to stay at her home. They have an incredible guest room complete with a robe. It's like I'm at a hotel. And she always has a sweet little gift. A lot of times it's paper products or something, and a sweet little note that she's written me welcoming me. She insists upon driving me, even if it's a work thing. She's like, "Nope, I'm your ride. I will be there. I will get up at 6 a.m. and take you to the airport." And so she's inspired me to live that way if I can. I had the chance to do that for a client visiting San Diego, and he was with his wife and his son. So I brought a gift for his son. I took them to the statue in San Diego of the couple embracing in Seaport Village. They did a little twirl dance together. We went out to lunch, and I drove them to their hotel. It was a Sunday. I gave up, I don't know, 2 or probably 3 hours of my personal weekend time. I still remember that as being one of the most fun days that I've spent. So, I feel like when we give to others in a true spirit of hospitality, we get back so much more than we give.
Yeah, I grew up kind of the consummate host. My father loved to throw a good party, have friends over for football watch parties, throw a barbecue, like any excuse he could find to have a crowd of people around at the house and cook for them and entertain and make them feel comfortable. So I grew up in that same way, but I imagine you had a sense of what hospitality meant to you before she did that for you in Phoenix, Arizona, as a guest at her little private oasis resort, apparently. Um, Tell us a little bit about where your mindset about connection and just generally hospitable care comes from.
Again, it's just innate curiosity in others, genuine, interest and love for other people and learning a little bit about them. So for me, going to a restaurant, no matter what level of service, if I can engage with a staff member there and just strike up, small talk, conversation, make that human connection, that really brightens my day. And I feel like there are some restaurants where where staff is not at all interested in doing that with the customer. And I feel like that's such a missed opportunity because for me, if I want to like not talk to anybody, I can just stay home. But if I'm actually going to a restaurant, I want to have that sense of, camaraderie, connection, a little bit of banter, saying something witty and kind of, just having fun together with another person.
Laura, give us a little sense of who you are, where you come from. Give us that 90-second bio about where you come from. How did you end up in this hospitality game? Give us the high level resume, so to speak, of how we got to where you are today.
Okay. I'll start with where I'm at today. So, as you know, Troy, from our digital hospitality community, I believe showing up is 80% of success. And when we show up consistently, we're unstoppable. For business, I have the privilege of showing up for my restaurant clients and bringing friends. And by friends, I mean 21 million expense account diners who are traveling for business, looking for great restaurants for dine in, carry out, catering, and private events. I'm director of strategic partnerships for a great company called Dinova Corporate Dining. Company was started 16 years ago when the question was asked by a global company, hey, if I shifted my spending to this one restaurant, might they give us some sort of consideration for that? The restaurant said yes. The consideration was a loyalty rebate, cash back once a month of what the company spent. And the company, Dinova, that I work for, has grown. We now have about 600 global companies who have hired us to do the same thing, and we're sending them to about 24,000 restaurants across the US and Canada. But my whole career has been spent in sales, and my first real sales job was custom boot fitter at Any Mountain in the San Francisco Bay Area. I got my first paycheck and I said, you're kidding me. They actually pay me to meet all of these fun skiers and, get to go skiing with my colleagues on my days off. And I couldn't believe I got a paycheck for getting to hang out with cool people. So I knew sales was for me. And most of my career was spent in traditional advertising sales. I was national sales manager for a very large radio group in Los Angeles. We had big radio stations, Kiss FM and KFI and all those big ones, and really fell in love with restaurants during that time. My part of my job was to travel to New York City and every major market and wine and dine my media buyers and say, hey, which Michelin restaurant haven't you tried yet? And so one week, I went to Charlie Trotter's in Chicago 4 nights in a row because that's the restaurant that all 4 of my clients I was going out to dinner with wanted to go to that week. So just that fun experience, you spend enough time in a restaurant, they let you go back to the kitchen and meet the chef, and the chef will banter with your client. So that's when I really, really fell in love with great restaurants.
Obviously you had that awesome experience of being able to wine and dine and be at some of the best restaurants out there. What made you interested or excited about switching into the industry, right? Really becoming a partner of the restaurant business itself to help drive a unique customer, a very captive or connected customer that you had a relationship with. What was exciting, or how did that come about? Why did you end up on this side of the game?
It was kind of a natural progression. Again, I was working in the radio space at the time. And at the time, it had become a little bit of a commodity, meaning we were only evaluated on our rating points. And it wasn't as much fun. A lot of my clients would say, Laura, this sounds really great, but can you guarantee me results? If nobody comes, can I get my money back? And the answer at that point was there are no guarantees in advertising. We have a large loyal audience. You have a great offer. This campaign has enough frequency. It really should work, but take a leap of faith with me and we will see how it goes. And I never knew if I was really providing value or not. So something at that time was invented and it was called pay for performance guest acquisition. And Groupon was the first to the game with that. And at about the same time, Living Social came into that space. So it wasn't perfect because at that time you had to discount, you're offering 50% and share the remaining 50% with either Groupon or Living Social. So the restaurant was only retaining 25 cents on the dollar. But it was better than not knowing if any of it was working, and it was totally trackable, and there was no cost if nobody came. So I said, "This answers the question to, can I get my money back if nobody shows up?" And I'm finally able to measure results. So I went to work there. My best deals were with restaurants and with resorts. So anything that was experiential, and the better the restaurant, the better the result. So I just fell in love with hospitality and working with restaurants and resorts and entertainment venues at that time.
Amazing. It's a great trajectory. Let's get into some like intelligence. Let's get into some, you get to see and hear a lot of things. You get a lot of data, I imagine, from the company and from what people are buying. There's a lot of gold probably in there. From your perspective, what are business travelers really looking for today? And has that shifted? Are you seeing any trends? Give us a little light on this unique customer demographic.
It's really good timing that you asked that, Troy. We have our State of Business Dining report that's going to be published in a couple weeks. So I'll make sure you get a copy of it. I'll publish it on LinkedIn as well. But we have officially partnered with Technomic. Were you at FS
I
Tech?
was not, but I'm familiar with Technomic.
Okay, so at FS Tech, Rich Shank, I think is his name. He announced the partnership and said, "Hey, for the first time, we have data for business diners, and our data partner is Dinova Corporate Dining." So for 16 years, we've been gathering this data, and it's really the only report of its kind. And really, something you've heard at conferences recently is catering is really a growth opportunity for restaurants, and it continues to be so. But what I'm really thankful for representing the business dining space is that at a time when traffic is down at restaurants, traffic with business diners is up. And I have I printed out our draft of this report because it's not published yet, but in June, this was the most recent year-over-year growth in sales and traffic at all restaurants. It was completely flat, so up 0.4%, and the business dining component was up 3.4%, which is, I mean, it's a big gain over just overall consumer diners, but we know that, and even in our personal experience, it feels like dining out has become really expensive in a lot of cases, and dining at home has become more affordable. So some of us are deciding to stay home and cook a little bit more and eat out a little bit less frequently. But when you're traveling for business, you don't have that luxury. In most cases, you're staying at a hotel. Everything you eat and drink goes on your company card.
So, not to ask for secrets in advance, but is corporate catering up? Or I know a lot of brands are focusing on it, right? And it's a big part of a marketing push, and they're repackaging their menu and they're really going after it. And that's going to drive some adoption and some trial, right? But in general, are we sort of back to business? Are we back to where sales reps are showing up with lunch and doing webinar, or doing seminars, and or are companies just sort of rewarding or enticing or taking care of their employees more? What's going on there, and in any trends in catering? That's pretty fascinating.
I will have more on that when the report's published, because I haven't gotten to see the detail on the catering piece. But we know for the past couple years, what's been happening is our corporate clients are bringing more of their teams back to the office. And in order to do that and make their employees feel good about being there, food is a huge part of the experience. So they are ordering catering, providing lunch, providing breakfast, providing, snacks, providing happy hours. So they're looking for restaurant partners that have menus with offerings for all of the day parts, because they really do like a one-stop shop. And yes, more people are bringing food, or more vendors are sponsoring these lunches because more employees are back to the office. So that is what's driving a lot of this. What's also interesting is, since the pandemic, it seems like the security at these offices has really tightened up. So our team was just at Toyota North America for a travel expo on Wednesday. They said it was like Fort Knox getting in there. So what I'm very thankful for is that Dinova is the only invited restaurant representative at our corporate clients' travel fairs and travel expos. We're there representing our 24,000 restaurants that are their official partners. So we're talking to executives, executive admins, travel planners, anybody making dining decisions for both dine in and carry out and catering and private events. That's what we do is we showcase, oh, okay, you're traveling to Arizona, like Troy will be for this grand opening this weekend, and you need to eat while you're there for your business trip. Here are all of your official partners who are approved and have signed up and said, "Yes, I want to be a partner with you, and I'm gonna give you this consideration for choosing my restaurant instead of just going anywhere."
So, Laura, you back to your ability to travel and talk to all these groups and get a lot of these insights. When you're talking to the restaurant side, so we've talked a bit about the consumer and the special business traveler, but when you're talking to these brand partners about this opportunity and in general about their business, what are some trends or challenges or consistent concerns that you're hearing sort of across the board while you're out and about? What are we saying as a cohort out there as you're getting around?
I would say the biggest thing that has changed in the past probably 2 years, and even in the quick serve space, is the margins have just continued to shrink. And a lot of it is because labor costs are absolutely through the roof no matter where you are. You and I are here in California, and it is incredibly expensive to afford to live anywhere near a restaurant where you might work. So as much as, the minimum wage sounds to be astronomical to other parts of the country, if you want an employee to be able to make it to your restaurant and live anywhere near where they could do it, that's kind of a bare minimum that they're going to need to just survive to be able to show up to work. So that's a real economic reality related to labor cost. It seems like the tariffs are less of a concern than they were maybe 6 months ago.
Unless you're a Japanese brand bringing in a lot of ingredients from outside the U.S. and equipment, by the way. But yes,
Is that what you're
yeah, yeah.
experiencing?
Well, look, we're very unique in that way. But don't let me interrupt.
No, no, I wanna know about this. And so, you have to, as you know, walk that line of how do I keep the price affordable enough for my employees that I don't, price myself out of their consideration and still run a profitable business. And that's something that operators like you are contending with on an absolute daily basis.
And so do you see them reaching out or having greater interest in the service that you provide in part to out of necessity, out of searching for an advantage over, say, the competition to attract new diners?
I think that's part of it for sure. So if you're gonna be open during the middle of the week and but, your consumer guests are more inclined to dine with you on the weekends, what can you do to maximize your revenue opportunities early and midweek when you're not at capacity? Like, you might be on the weekend depending on where your location is and what, level of service you have. So that's part of it. They like that the business diners dine primarily midweek because they wanna be home for dinner with their family by Friday night if they can. The other really great thing about the business diner is they spend significantly more than a guest paying with their own money. So, it's 50 to 200% more, and part of that is that they're dining with more people than they might be if they're just, going alone or going with their family. So that's part of it, but also and especially if they're entertaining either their colleagues, they're celebrating something, they're entertaining a customer, they're bringing food in, from catering. They want to have a wow experience if they can, because it's every business dining occasion is kind of a celebration or something, something different. The other cool thing about the business dining is that employees who discover a restaurant through their employer, 70% of them are going back and eating with their own family, paying with their own money. So that's another great thing about catering is just getting, I've heard the term food in mouths, just getting across that threshold of having somebody try your food makes them so much more likely to feel comfortable and confident that they're going to like it when they try it with their friends or family or on their own as a consumer.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty awesome insight, actually. Along those lines, can you share any thoughts or insights about what the business traveler says really matters to them?
It's just like it would be for you and me as consumers. It's all the same thing. The stakes are a little bit higher, especially if they're entertaining customers. So they want to feel special, just like all of your guests do. And just, for me, my job is to make sure that we have enough options at every level of service in every city so that if somebody wants a fine dining experience, that they can find one that's in network and approved and preferred for their employer. Really, it's the same types of things that you would use to evaluate a restaurant. And then on the catering side, our corporate clients, it has to be on time. Just like for a party at your house, but if you're an admin and you're charged with bringing in food, it can't be too early because you're not ready for it. It can't be too late. The temperature has to be right. I mean, and you don't have a lot of opportunities if you get it wrong the first time. They're just not willing to give you a second chance.
Yeah, many people don't know this, but I cut some teeth. I took a little break from my hospitality career and I joined Laura in the sales universe on the corporate side in the 90s with an unlimited credit card and whining and dining. Doctors was my cohort. And it was really interesting because I did a lot of in services, what we called seminars inside of doctors' offices. And in that process, you bring in lunch. And again, what are the choices? Like, where can I get a high quality, impressive lunch that's going to come in a tin can in a box, that's going to somehow translate to, look, I care, I can't take the whole office in that 45-minute lunch window they have out to a nice restaurant, and of course, when you have those opportunities, you do that at dinner or whatever. But yeah, it was always a struggle. But when you found somebody who did it well, boy, oh boy, were you on it. Carrabba's was that for me for a long time. I could rely on Carrabba's to have a pasta and a protein and a salad and the breadsticks and, kind of an elevated option. But again, just the way they package and the way they thought about it. Even to your point, recently I was called on and asked if I would participate in helping sponsor a youth basketball camp for there's these NBA players and these businessmen who put on a professional development camp for kids in Las Vegas, and they said, "Hey Troy, we'd love for Pepper Lunch to help us out." Well, the reality is Pepper Lunch doesn't cater. We can't really cater what we have yet. We may one day figure out some technology and some packaging as we're working on for our to go process. So individual to go, sure. 70 to 100 people inside of a 45-minute window off-site, not something we're really adept at doing, and I didn't want to take that chance. So I called my friend, somebody Sam Stanovich over at Big Chicken, and I said, "Guys, I know Big Chicken can do this, but we're not really focused on grilled, on fried. We need grilled chicken. So can we focus on grilled nuggets and grilled sandwiches and your salads and mac and cheese and some other things?" I was a customer. I was offering to buy this catering for one meal, but it had to be there at 11:50 a.m. and they had an hour and 15-minute window between sessions to get this lunch and enjoy it, and it had to be hot and fresh and meet the needs of kids and adults alike. And boy, was I anxious. There's definitely a handful of text messages making sure, all right, are we good? It's paid for. Are we ready? We got it. Did they order what they wanted? Do we have enough? If we need more, send more. Just wanting them to have a good experience, right? Because I felt responsible for being the one providing that. So it's been a long time since I had that sense or sensation as you described, but I had that recently.
But something just to follow up on that, the corporate clients absolutely want a contact at the restaurant that is responsive and communicates in advance. So even if it's 5 minutes behind, they wanna know it. and they just want to feel like they have a partner with whomever their primary point of contact is. And so the restaurants that do that well are the ones who win.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've definitely had that experience, and there's a wow factor. There's like somebody cares. Somebody cares to make sure that they know I'm juggling a lot, trying to accomplish this hosting or whatever we're doing to make it easy, right? Make sure I feel comfortable and confident that it's going to happen on time in the right way. So Laura, let's land this plane, as Jason Berkowitz would say. Tell the world exactly what Dinova is, who's it for, how's it work, whether it's a corporate client that could take advantage of the network, or whether what most of this audience would be is going to be restaurant operators and executives who might want to learn more about attracting the business traveler to their restaurant. Tell us all about it.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just kind of pick up where I left off earlier about how the company started, which was when one large company asked, "Hey, if I shifted my spending to this restaurant, might they give us some consideration for that instead of just going wherever?" And the answer was yes. And that's really what we do is we have these large companies. These companies have relationships with airlines, hotel groups, and rental car companies that they manage direct because there are only a handful of players large enough to accommodate their travel needs. Due to the fragmented nature of the restaurant space, they outsource those relationships to Dinova because they do not have the bandwidth to build relationships with all the restaurants that they want to dine at across the country. And that's really the opportunity for a restaurant operator who says, "I have space and I can handle more midweek business. I'd like to drive my average check up." The cost to partner up with these restaurants is not that much, and it's typically self-funding because of the nature of the higher average checks, and we have a calculator that we can demonstrate that for them, and then we can also track the incremental sales. So that's another important thing for our restaurant partners. They wanna make sure that we are driving new business and also having an incentive for that new business to keep coming back, and we definitely have that. So we are so fortunate to have some incredible partners. Something I'm excited about is a newer category for us, which is team building options. We as a team went to a place called Popstroke in Florida. It's outdoor mini golf with incredible restaurant, food, private events, rooftop, very, very fun. Also, Putt Shack is a brand new partner. So if you want an indoor mini golf with technology enabled balls as a Dinova corporate or government client, you're going to be able to go there as a preferred partner. We also have pickleball, which I've shared with you before, electric pickle in Tempe, not too far from the new Pepper Lunch. So if you get time,
I am planning on trying to stop by tonight, as a matter of fact.
okay, you gotta go. Their rooftop is incredible. So that's what's been so fun for me is like these entertainment experiences that also happen to have world-class restaurants and bars and environments for just to keep it fresh, new, and exciting for being able to entertain my clients, maybe spend some time with them doing something fun, or my colleagues for team building. So there's been a lot more demand for that, and that's a category I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's exciting, and it's growing pretty fast, and some more regional than other areas. But yeah, pickleball's popping off, and these golf related, whether it's digital simulation or sort of these mini course type of experiences, a lot of stuff popping off for people to get into for sure. Laura, it's been awesome to get to know you. It's been awesome to hear more about how this works and get your insights in the industry as you get to get out there and talk to so many people on both sides of this equation. Really appreciate you coming on the Pineapple Perspective.
Thank you, Troy. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Pineapple Perspective. If you loved today's episode, leave a review and a 5-star rating. I look forward to welcoming you back next time.